Few names in Hollywood history shine as brightly as Burt Reynolds and Clint Walker, two icons who defined an era when real men ruled the screen, and action spoke louder than words. Both were rugged, charismatic, and larger than life, representing the golden age of westerns and adventure films. Yet, for years, fans speculated about the true relationship between these two legends. Were they friends, rivals, or simply respectful peers who shared the same cinematic spotlight? Now, after decades of mystery, Burt Reynolds' own words about Clint Walker have finally come to light, and they reveal a side of both men that fans never truly knew. In a candid, rediscovered interview from the later years of Reynolds' life, the Smokey and the Bandit star opened up about his deep respect for Clint Walker, calling him one of the most underrated men to ever grace a movie set. Reynolds, who was never shy about speaking his mind, admitted that when he first met Walker, he was struck by the actor's sheer presence. Clint didn't have to say a word, Reynolds said. He just walked into a room and you felt it. That man had the kind of quiet strength most of us could only act. For fans who remember Walker from his days as Cheyenne Bodie on the hit TV series Cheyenne, that description rings true. Standing at 6'6" with a commanding voice and gentle demeanor, Clint Walker was the embodiment of the classic Western hero. Strong but humble, fearless but kind. Reynolds admired that quality deeply. In a business full of egos, Reynolds said, Clint was the real deal. No arrogance, no nonsense, just a man who did his job with heart. But Reynolds didn't stop there. He went on to reflect on how Hollywood often failed to appreciate actors like Walker, who relied on authenticity rather than spectacle. Clint didn't play cowboys. He was one, Reynolds said with a smile. He had that natural grace, the kind you can't fake. You either have it or you don't, and Clint had it in spades. Despite the growing divide between old-school Hollywood and the flashy modern film scene, Reynolds believed Walker represented the kind of storytelling the industry desperately needed more of. The two actors reportedly crossed paths several times throughout their careers, especially during the height of the Western's popularity. Reynolds admitted that he always felt a connection with Walker, both as performers and as men who had to fight their way up in a competitive industry. We came from the same mold, Reynolds said. We both worked hard, got knocked down a few times, but never stayed down. That's something Clint and I understood about each other without having to say it. Reynolds also opened up about the pain of seeing many of his contemporaries, including Walker, fade from the public spotlight as Hollywood shifted away from the traditional Western genre. When the business moved on, a lot of guys like Clint didn't get the appreciation they deserved, he said quietly. But real fans never forgot. They never will. The sincerity in Reynolds' words struck a chord with fans around the world. For those who grew up watching Clint Walker's commanding performances or Burt Reynolds' effortless charm, this moment of reflection feels like a long overdue tribute from one legend to another. Both men shared more than just fame. They shared a legacy built on integrity, hard work, and a deep respect for the craft of storytelling. Burt, Reynolds' final thoughts on Clint Walker remind us that true greatness in Hollywood isn't about box office numbers or awards. It's about leaving a mark on people's hearts. Both men did exactly that. Decades later, their films still inspire, their characters still captivate, and their stories continue to remind us of a time when heroes rode tall, spoke softly, and stood for something real.